but in voice that he scolds you, was to like freaking ask Ignatius a question which would hint about the dreams. Which is too bad. Because Ignatius is not the only Primaris who has dreams.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, he said that he has to go.
Ah.
So, wait a moment, let me check what's the time, actually.
It's 9 o'clock here. I think you're 8 hours ahead.
In Krakow, it's probably like 3, perhaps? 1, 2. Yeah, 3.
Yeah, just says that probably not really snaps, but says something to Moriana that yeah, something like dismisses that and says something on the lines that he was longer in Inquisition and like knows Marabas more, so you shouldn't focus yourself on his grand plan, but rather focus on my own task that I'm planning. And then it would make so much sense because Ignatius go. It would make so much sense because then he starts basically explaining that I assuming Ignatius will, when asked directly, he will say about his dreams about incoming shadow.
No, definitely.
And then, like, that would be basically that, like, Caden in your talk with you uses mostly neutral tone, but when he asks that specific thing to Ignatius, Xantis like immediately recognizes the tone that says you will answer immediately or else. Yeah, basically to short things up, and I think we will be able to like replay or like get back to this particular part next time when Ignatius will be back. But yeah, those dreams and potential danger coming from them is reason enough that the official task from him will be to use these map pieces to find this place, examine it, find if the weapon is true, and if it works, find how it works, and then use it against oncoming menace. But I would like repeat that stuff next time. So, technically I could go, it's 3 AM, so the question is, do you want to do your one-on-one thing with Caden, like Moriana talking about Dominant with Benjamin and Xantis perhaps?
That depends whether or not he actually wants to, says or expresses an interest of wanting to talk with us.
He said that he has time. Basically what the scenes now are happening right after the main briefing when we'll like play this at the start of next session because I really need Ignatius for this. So yeah, now this is like right after that. So if Moriana with Benjamin want to go first.
I need to think of a few things first, but
okay, so if you need to think, then he will ask Xantis for a, Xantis, a word in private.
Yes, my lord. I say he's probably not asking for anything. Xanthis, come with me. Okay.
Yeah. Besides, I think you also said that you will also have something to talk with him in private. Or not? Or was it only Moriana?
I mean, hasn't he said he wanted to speak with Moriana? I mean, she doesn't want to speak to Kate more.
Well, hold up, pause. Just to make sure we are all on the same page here so we don't get confused. Moriana and Xanthus were supposed to talk to Caden together concerning the Severan Dominant.
Ah, you wanted to talk together, okay. But before that, he specifically asked for you, I guess, because you were his former interrogator.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have probably returned to that place, although he might have another cadre, who knows.
Alright. Well, I'm assuming that either everyone else has left the room or Xanthus and Caden have gone to another room.
Whatever works, it's not really important, but yeah, you have privacy, and Caden makes sure of that, and his entourage, like assassin and whatnot, so yeah, the words that will be spoken now will not leave this place, and between two of you. Basically, he begins with, like, small talk, and he, like, even though Inquisitor Lyra is gone, I was meaning to ask during your return, how, as my former interrogator, how would you have, what's the word? Marked? Not marked, like, what mark would you give her for her work? Basically, like, opinion, but now that she's gone, I will still gladly hear your opinion.
Well, if you want my opinion of the Inquisitor, she was... see the definition of this word before I say it. She was...
AIDS.
No, she had a powerful belief in the Emperor and was very dedicated to the Puritan ideals. However, she was also... how should I put that? That Puritanism may have blinded her to alternate methods of succeeding in her mission. She was headstrong, rather narrow-minded, in my opinion. However, she was also effective in her duties, even despite that limitation. She would have been a potent force for the Emperor had she survived.
He nods. Thank you for your words. And he doesn't really comment on the entire radical Puritan thing. Although, speaking about ideologies, I probably need to ask, do you foresee troubles with Assassin?
In perfect honesty, my lord, I do. I feel as though she has a very similar... not problem, what's the word that he could use?
I was going to say disposition in the sense that... Yeah.
She has a similar disposition to the Inquisitor. However, hers is even more intense, shall we say. You have known me long enough to know that I am not of a strictly Puritan persuasion, my lord. And so you will know that sooner or later we will have conflict. Or rather, the assassin and I will have conflict. Either that, or she and Moriana will have conflict.
Already disagreed. We've already been at each other's throats.
Because the two of them have already disagreed on quite an important issue.
Which I believe Moriana wanted to bring with me, but we'll deal with that after our talk. I have great respect for Officer Assassinorum and their work. They are very required tools for the Imperium. Yet sometimes... sometimes they limit themselves so that the tools will only be tools. Which... maybe it suits them. Maybe... I lived for long enough to know that sometimes both Puritan and radicals, their method of solving problems either does that efficiently or creates even more of them. I am not gonna interject within your Kadra's dynamics, and I hope that you are smart enough that you will try to avoid conflict as long as possible. As the old Terran saying goes, what the eyes doesn't see, the heart doesn't grieve. And the Inquisition done many things in the name of the Emperor. Not all of them that could have been agreed with assassins.
Believe me, my lord, I have no intention of fighting Cadus, nor do I have any intention of allowing anyone else in the cadre to clash with the assassin.
That would be a shame, because even if she was in the right, a lot of Conclave, let's say that in specific situation, even Assassinorum would not prevent her from a rather poor fate, even if she presented her case. Fellow Inquisitors do not look favorably upon people who kill their own comrades. Especially if those comrades were not mutants nor chaos worshippers, but, well... definitely. He says that the difference of opinion and philosophy for many of Conclave would not be enough. Yet, as I perhaps warned you... Oh no, wait, he leaves that for later. Yet, as I mentioned, will not try to interfere, but if you feel that it would be necessary, we'll see. And I believe that was all I wanted to talk with you specifically.
Understood, my lord.
Now is the matter that Moriana and your guest wanted to talk about. Is my guess correct that you are also to be present for the...
Yes, my lord.
Very well. And of course, during the talk, he was like sitting behind a very like badass looking acquisitive fuck, what's the word? Not chair, not typical table, not throne, like when the officer's table, when the like papers are and what. I just completely words got out of my mouth. So, Xantis, ask Moriana and Benjamin Alava inside. And I guess Moriana and him were waiting close by. Or close enough.
Yeah.
And I guess you enter. There are chairs, so you can sit down. And Kaden just says, I'm listening, so speak.
Considering Xanthis is the interrogator currently, Mariana will look up to him to start the conversation, and then she's waiting to be able to speak. Davia?
Oh, 1 sec. I have crackers in my mouth. Okay, there we are. Now then, would Xanthus just launch right into the deep end of it, or would he try to take this slow, I wonder? And before I start running my mouth off, we are talking about Severin Dominant. We need to make peace.
Yep. And we know that there's an Imperial fleet being sent there. And we also, Mariana will bring up that part later. She's just waiting for you to make an introduction into the talk.
Very well. My lord, you are of course aware of the troubles in the Severin Dominant.
Indeed.
What? Go ahead.
Says he nods tiniest nod. Indeed.
Though it is an unorthodox idea, to say the least, it has come to be.
Sorry, Mariana does scoff a little bit at that, not in a manner that she's undermining you, but
kind of like,
sorry,
yeah, very unorthodox. Either that or like, what? How is she?
Or more like unorthodox. What? To her, leaving them to become demons is unorthodox.
It is an unorthodox and then he kind of pauses when he hears a scoff. An unorthodox idea. However, we believe that it would be beneficial toward the Imperium to seek peace with the Dominant. To put it in its simplest form.
Obviously, you don't feel anything. There is nothing happening. The only thing that he says as he looks at you. Continue.
Yes, my lord. On the inside, Xanthus effectively is thinking to himself, well, the fact that I'm still alive means that he's at least going to kill us outright. The fact I'm still alive means that this is actually going better than I was expecting. All right. Back to Xanthus. Considering the fact that the Dominant is composed of many billions of humans, to send our own fleets against it and to continue this war against the Dominant is against.
And they're already delaying orcs as well. Sorry.
Like it hasn't happened 1,000 times again. History.
Anyway, this war is against the interests of the Imperium in the long run, or in the greater point of view. We waste billions of our own. How many regiments do we send to that corner of space that could be used elsewhere, or at least fighting against the enemies of man who are actually a threat to man? The orcs, for instance, who infest that sector.
They're combating.
The chaos minions who are even now attempting to subvert the populace. This war and on that note, this war feeds into the chaos propaganda. It feeds their agenda. With every passing day that this conflict continues, the Imperium's stance becomes ever weaker. Our might more inefficient in that region. He pauses for a moment to see what the Lord Inquisitor is saying, doing, if he's reacting at all to what he's saying.
He is okay, not rather still. He now he has a Gendo pose. He's slightly leaned forward and he has his hands intertwined under his chin. And then he just looks silently at you, just waiting one moment too. Is that all for opening statement, Xanthus?
For an opening statement, yes, my lord. I believe I have laid the groundwork for for a deeper talk, if this topic is of interest to you.
He immediately looks like his eyes briefly skid over Benjamin, and then he ends looking at Moria. Yeah, looks at you, expecting some words.
Mariana clears her throat and stands up, taking on a most militaristic posture, arms behind the back, legs slightly spread, standing at attention. Yes. It is exactly as interrogator. Yeah, we know his surname, Gallo, right? Yes.
Actually, he doesn't have that surname. The Gallo part comes from Althena, and they're not married in this timeline.
Sure. So it is exactly as Inquisitor Xanthis has proclaimed. In fairness, if anyone is to be prosecuted in this matter, it is to be me, as it was my idea. He merely agreed with my way of thinking in this case, whereas some of our cadre didn't. Anyway, enough of that. It would be more than beneficial.
Before you continue, just for a moment, he clears his throat, and he just says, I don't exactly need psychic powers to know whom you're talking about. Continue, Moriana.
She would then simply go on to say, it is exactly as Interrogator Xanthis has proclaimed. Though I would go as far to say that... Hang on, how did Xanthis say? Was it a radical point of view, or how did he word it?
He said unorthodox.
I would not call it unorthodox. And there is a valid reason behind that, Lord Inquisitor. When on... What was the planet called again? Sorry.
Omsworld.
I'm so bad with the names.
Omsworld.
Once on Omsworld, and we'd rooted out and eventually found out where the fallen trader Krigor Kharkov was located. We found out that there was, the Chaos Insurgents had planned to... how would you word it? Yes, the insurgents were hoping that the Imperium continue to apply pressure to the Dominate, insofar that they would eventually seek power to fight back ruinous powers. However, we had managed to at least find the names of all the sleeper agents and have the Dominate fight them themselves. They themselves are not... Yes, I think she's that far away. They themselves are not bad people. They are simply being oppressed. That's her point of view. I know you're laughing at that, Cadus, but yeah. They are already fighting a war on the front against orcs, doing us, indirectly, a large favour, yet there is to be a significant fleet sent to Omsworld to put a stop to them. If they do that, Chaos will have succeeded. It is planned to be a demon world.
Not on Omsworld, and the fleet is
It was a demon. The sector to put the Dominant down.
The Cold Warworld would have enough sacrifice to really do a lot of bad shit. But on Omsworld they would also, the end goal would be to make a...
Yeah, that's what he
all
said.
The universe to be a demon.
The demon universe.
Yes.
Delightful.
Although
their territories were planned to be demon worlds, and if we continue to push them, then they will eventually fall. But we have already seen proof that they themselves are not corrupt and under the throes of chaos. They uprooted it themselves. Sure, we may have given them a little bit of guidance and indirectly suggested that these people were serving the false gods, the corrupt gods, those that we combat. And I guess this is a point where she would look towards Benjamin. And I have bought an individual from the Dominate. He will inform you of what I'm sure he is a lot to talk to you about, but in essence, they do not want this war either. Or rather, they do not want this war. He can better inform you of the situation there than we can, as he has lived there many years.
Okay.
If you would, Benjamin.
Caden slightly raises, shows a hand, signing stop. Before you proceed, Benjamin, I believe there are some words that I need to speak. And then he looks between Moriana and Xanthis. I must say I admire the quality to speak what one thinks, what one believes is right. And then his gaze ends up at Moriana. But I hope you are intelligent enough to know that in the future you should be extremely wary to whom you speak those words that I just heard.
Of course, my lord.
Another Inquisitor and God Emperor forbid member of Officiura Assassinorum would result in your very swift and perhaps painful death.
Moriana would simply say, then I would embrace that death because at least I know I was trying to do the right thing. She nods her head respectfully and takes a seat.
To be fair, my Lord Inquisitor, I figured, or rather...
What she believes is right, but she said the right thing.
To be fair, my Lord Inquisitor, I figured that my head not exploding immediately was a sign that you weren't going to kill us.
And indeed, that was a sign that you read properly. I was merely informing you about other possibilities. And especially considering you have an assassin in your cadre. Or in your
Yes, this was the subject matter that Adis and Moriana disagreed on, shall we say.
It is of no surprise to me.
She, like Lyra, is too narrow-minded. It is a good job that she holds no power within... she's talking about Cadus, not Lyra in this case. At least Lyra could be reasoned with. If Cadus held any power within this... with, I guess, cadre. Yeah, it's cadre, not cell. Within the cadre, would be brought to ruin.
You are entitled to your opinion, although I'm sure Cadus would disagree. Yet, I believe this is not important right now. Before you will present your point, Benjamin, I think I must say, or remind, in your case, Xanthis, one very important thing.
Yes, my lord.
I didn't lead 3 consecutive purges of Calix and Conclave only because I didn't like other Inquisitors, or I didn't agree with them, or only because they fell to heresy. What you must remember or know is that you are not the first ones who have unorthodox and perhaps good ideas. Yet, those who were before you, who had ideas of solving conflicts, of aiding the Empire in an orthodox way that might not have been liked by a Terran Senate or Officiura Assassinorum, or Ecclesiarchy, or whoever else. And at the very beginning, I didn't stop them, just as I'm not gonna stop you. Yet, as their path progressed, their ideas of change strayed further and further from what Inquisition represents, even the most radical Inquisitors represent. As the old Terran saying goes, the good intentions, basically he's saying the English translation, which roughly says that like hell is paved with good intentions.
The road to hell.
The road to hell.
Yeah. Or in this case, the road to warp is paved in good intentions. I imagine I don't need to inform you that your idea, even if I was to put my name behind it, you know how many issues would that have raised.
Then do not have your interrogator's name be tarnished. She's basically asking him if... yes, that's what she says. Then please do not allow the interrogator's name to be tarnished. As I had mentioned, it was my idea, and I requested that Xanthus hear me out on this. Interrogator Xanthus hear me out on this, and he did.
I appreciate the sentiment, Moriana, but if we're going to do
distinction. Puritans would not make a distinction.
Yeah, first of all, but he's not going to say that part. Well, maybe he might. I appreciate the sentiment, Moriana, but I did agree with you, and thus, if we're going to do this, I intend for us to do this together. If my name must be tarnished, then so be it. Besides, the people the people in whose eyes my name would be tarnished, their opinion matters little to me. The only opinion that matters is that of the man who sits in front of us.
You obviously, you don't even see it if his facial expression changed. That's the Inquisitor I knew, and I still know. Very well then. I imagine. I will ask you a few more things, but please, Benjamin Alava, speak. And then, like for several minutes, Scholar gives a description of like what he heard, what's the word on the street. Caden like asked him like about his life, more details. Giving you hints that one reason or another he knew a member of Alava family, perhaps some of his ancestors, because Caden lived for quite a long time, to be honest. At least the one who bears the name Caden. The canon book, or rather like on Wiki, I found that it seems that he leads the Calexian Conclave for at least like 100 years, maybe more.
I thought it was like 300 or something.
Yeah. Even more. And then basically he asks like, you is from Monsworth, yes, and he asks you for an honest opinion. Do you believe that planetary governor of Omsworth and maybe other worlds can be reasoned with? And then he says yes, and basically from their talk it says that he basically explains the main problem, which normally is logical for everyone and easy, but because this is like Hordor Green dark setting, it's inconceivable for anybody. They would gladly surrender, but